Miss Nikki in the house.
So we know what we're good at, but we know we're not good at. We spend all of our time.
My family know I've been married for 10 years.
I had changed my life so much in such a short
I've been doing that for 18 to 19 years.
I'm one of those people who I think, I grew up
serving the majority, as far as I can remember, as a kid.
Hey everyone! Yes, I am Chandra, and
allow themselves to be free. Sometimes I do coaching and other things like that, but
dance was my life. Dance is what I knew. Dance is what I breathed.
I lost a lot of time with my daughter in that first year.
It was an amazing job for actors.
Hey, and welcome to Commit to Change, otherwise known as C2C podcast that gives a voice to the people who may be considered a small fry in their industry, but are doing big things in their communities. This is Miss Nikki, the Jane of all trades, but the master of living. I am committed to introducing local VIPs, which are vivaciously inspiring people to encourage you on your daily journey, as well as let you know what is possibly happening around you in your area. So, as always, we have an amazing guest that I want to tell you a little bit about. But before I do, let's just say hi to him. Say hi, Dan Ringo.
Hello, everyone.
Awesome. So, I had to cut down his bio because he has like years of like successful accomplishments, and I'm going to give him the opportunity to tell you more about that. But first, I want to tell you he's an entrepreneur, he's an author, he's a professional trainer. He was born in Cleveland, Ohio. He's the youngest of 4 boys, which I could imagine like to be the baby of the family. You got to push out to show that you could do it too, because I was a baby. I understand the plight of the baby.
The struggle.
Yes, the struggle
exactly.
to come out of the bottom
exactly.
And say, I'm here too. Okay,
exactly. I can do it.
Yes, I can do it. But eventually he made his home in Detroit. He's married to a Dr. Wendy Ringo, and he has 4 children, 1 grandson and 1 granddaughter. He has over 25 years of success in his career that started in the Air Force, where he honorably served until 1997. He's an engineer by trade, but he also has a law degree. Very busy, and he's educated. Yes. And from 2016 to 2019, he ran and operated Ringo Services, which was recognized in 2018 by the state of Michigan Small Business Administration as one of top 50 companies to watch in Michigan. Kudos to you. He is now a trusted subject matter expert on business operations and operational improvement for facilities management and power plant operations. And in addition to his day-to-day, he's an accomplished author of a number of bestseller books. And I'm going to name a few of them. The Best Boiler Operation Plant book series, which is a series of 3 books, and How to Improve Facility Management for K through 12. Did I say that right, Ringo?
That is correct.
All right. And I just called you by your last name like we were in the military. I apologize. And
I'm used to it.
Yeah, and then the book that actually brought him to me because of our previous guest, She Jag. Yes, thank you, She Jag. Is Airmen to CEO. My goodness, and he did all those books in 2019 alone. Amazing. I'm floored by that, and I want to follow in your footsteps. Dan, can you please tell our audience a little bit more about you?
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here, and I'm just feel extremely blessed. Well, you gave a great intro and a great background for the listening audience regarding who I am. But I will say that the basis of this podcast show is pretty much who I'm about. It's about I'm an individual that's about committing to changing lives, changing mine, being a living example of what's actually possible, putting up our lives high score so we don't leave anything on the table. So when that time comes, we've done all that we can do to better ourselves and the world around us. But as you eloquently stated, I started in the United States Air Force. I was a teenage father, and I went into the military because at the time my grades in high school didn't leave much alternatives for me to do many things upon graduating high school. And I was pretty much a serial job haver or taker. I worked at all the fast foods. I didn't have the discipline to keep a job or hold a job down. By then I had an infant son, and I just wasn't the type of father that I wanted to be. I was not the type of father that I had. And I wanted to be that example. I wanted to have some experiences and learn on my own to be able to pass some of those things down and prove to myself that I was not going to be a failure. And so I went into the United States Air Force and began a career and furthered my education once I was in the Air Force and got my community college Air Force associate's degree. And upon discharging honorably from the United States Air Force, I got into a trade apprenticeship, skilled trades engineering apprenticeship back in Detroit. And I completed that within 2 years. It was a 4-year apprenticeship, and I completed it in 2 years by studying and really applying myself, and was doing rather well for a few years and got complacent. But I felt a burning desire that was kind of smoldering down inside of me. And I just wanted to know if it was, before it was too late, could I actually get a bachelor's degree? And really, if I get a bachelor's degree, could I really go to law school? Because at that time, I was a union representative. I was a union steward. And I started to get familiar with negotiating labor contracts and dealing with employers and representing people and advocating for their benefits and their rights. And I felt like I would go into some of these meetings and people on the other side of the table were all attorneys, and I didn't have a bachelor's degree. So I felt, how well can I represent these people? I was like taking a knife to a gunfight. And so I said, the only way you can really do this job justice is you need to go acquire the skills that the person on the other side of the table has. And so I applied myself, went back, used the 2 years remaining on my GI Bill, went back and got my bachelor's degree. But when I went back to school, I applied myself with a mission that I wanted to graduate as high as I possibly could with the highest GPA, and I graduated magna cum laude with a 3.83. Now that's a big swing for somebody who graduated with a 1.4 from high school. So I graduated college with a 3.83. I made a lot of strong relationships with my college professors and got recommendations, and I was accepted into 3 law schools, and I chose Wayne State University Law School in Detroit. And pretty much started my legal career there in law school, and had so many wonderful things happen to me while I was there. So many opportunities came about that I continued my career along that path. And we'll kind of get into that, I'm assuming, during our discussion about some of the commitment to change and things that I had, decisions I had to make, and some of the success and failures that led me along an executive path to eventually I started my own business in 2016 after becoming director of engineering, vice president of operations, senior vice president of operations, before a CEO of my own company, and started a few other endeavors. And so that's what leads me here today. I decided to write about that journey from being an E1, an airman in the Air Force working in the boiler room, to being a CEO in an award-recognized company. So.
Wow, and we are happy to have you here. And
I'm happy to be here.
I love stories of transformation and success, especially of veterans. That's near and dear to me. And I did not realize you said that, you wanted to make a change when you were younger because of different things, but you didn't tell me like that the great thing, like, because that's big. People feel like, oh, I didn't do well in school, so, there's no future for me. And for you to, come from somewhere in a place where it would be, you felt down about where you were and like, oh, I'm incapable, to being capable and showing it and really excelling beyond, just that in itself is commendable. And the fact that, and I don't ask me why that this stuck out to me, maybe because I worked, I've seen other government workers and just different jobs where people will hold a position and they clearly know that they do not have the information necessary for them to do that job successfully, but they don't care. They continue doing it. They just leave it as is, and the people that they're representing or people that they're in charge of, they screw them over. But you saw that and you took initiative to say, no, I want to do this right. And I'm going to go out there and get the education necessary so I can stand amongst, if not above, the rest. So thank you. I'm proud of you. Yes, thank you. Thank you. And to do that for the people around you. So you have done so much. But I just want to talk about, I want to talk about a lot of things, but what made you decide to just commit your life, basically, because what you're doing is actually selfless service. Even though you're getting a lot of accolades along the way and accomplishments, it's really not even so much just about you, because you're helping these different businesses to be successful. Even with your book, you are showing people the possibility that they have. So what brought you to that point where you like, I just want to do these things. I want to change, basically, in essence, being a person that is a changer of the world, a shifter.
So I think it's just who I am naturally. But I think that also I have to attribute it to my favorite athlete of all time is Magic Johnson. Okay, and Magic Johnson is known for doing what? Throwing the ball to other people so they can score. He was known for assisting people. He would throw what they call an assist. So it wasn't about him, it was about him making everyone else around him better. And he did it with such a flair, with such a charisma, that was very attractive to me, that I wanted to pattern myself and things that I did around that. So really that's been a part of my DNA, I think, my whole life. And I think it was then finding opportunities in which for that to manifest itself on a larger scale in its own way. I'm not 6'9", I can't play basketball, but I can assist and help people achieve their goals. And in a sense, I'm achieving my own goal because that's what I wanted to do. So I think in all of what you said, and it's funny you said that, to fast forward a bit, when I was a union representative advocating for people and helping people, I could help. But then when I went onto the other side of the table and went into management and executive management, and then even owning a company, employing 200 people, I was even to help people. I saw it as this is a way for me to help people even further. So it was always about what you just said, Ms. Nikki, was about in service to other people, helping other people, being that vessel through which blessings will flow, and being very humble and being very grateful, being chosen to be in that role and doing everything you can to help other individuals, because a rising tide lifts all boats.
Yeah. And it's interesting how people still, they don't see that by helping people, that's what brings success. It's not just about you, because you're not getting there on your own. And even if you were to get up there on your own, one, it's a lonely place, and it won't last, especially if you are knocking people down on the way. So so thank you for doing that, and also letting that be an example that you are setting for other people.
Yes.
So along your journey, can you please tell me what obstacles have you encountered while having selfless service and committing your life to this change? What obstacles have you encountered, and how did you overcome them?
So you only ever face one obstacle, regardless of if you have 10,000 people on your show, and I hope you have 1 million people on your show, because that means you've had that many shows.
Thank you.
No matter what anyone says to this question, you only ever have one obstacle, and that's yourself.
Yes.
Regardless. So one thing that I talk about in Airmen and CEO is that once you commit yourself to making a change, and I use those words, that's when the demons will come to test you, to test and try you to see how committed you are to this change that you've just declared. So I faced one of the chapters called the 3Ds, death, divorce, and disease, and how you have to encounter these type of obstacles during your journey. Just because you decide to commit to change, and you decide to change, like, does not mean that the whole world and everything just falls in place and just allows you to walk through the golden brick road to your goals. So I've had to face things from internally, from doubt, insecurity, death in the family. My father passed my first year, my first semester of law school. I got divorced during law school. I was married 13 years. I got divorced. So I faced a lot of different obstacles. I was fired from one job. When I was COO and senior vice president of the sister company, and I had started Ringo Services, my boss, who was the CEO of the company, thought I was doing too much. And it was, and one day I walked in, kind of saw it coming because the company was starting to grow. He felt that was a little too much. And so I was fired. And this was 3 days before I was supposed to get married to my current wife, Wendy.
Oh, wow.
So when you start talking about obstacles and barriers, you were talking about death, we're talking about divorce, we're talking about termination, we're talking about being awarded an $80 million a year contract only to have it pulled from you 2 days before the board is supposed to vote. So we're talking about major obstacles. We're not talking about I pulled a hamstring. We're talking, we're not talking about I lost my keys and my car was stolen. We're talking about major obstacles that people can't get past sometimes, because that becomes a thing when really it's yourself is the obstacle, and it's how you're going to react to things that happen to everybody.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Right. Well, what steps did you take to overcome those things when they happen?
So so for instance, you can pick any one of them. The thing that you do is you build a good team. Nothing done great can be done alone. So I would surround myself around individuals that are like-minded. I would always identify. I tell people that you are the CEO of You Incorporated. So that means you have to hire and fire and bring in talent that's going to help you accomplish your goals. So when my father passed away, my first semester in law school, I already began to build a circle of friends that would, number one, help me with assignments, help keep me abreast of what was going on in school. I made connections with my professors, for one, to make sure that I was staying abreast of my assignments, and then had a support group that would help carry me until my feet could touch the ground to help me get going again on my own. And that's no different than any obstacle you have to go through. Sometimes the obstacle can be so massive that you can't do this by yourself. So I would tell individuals is to always look at the circle and the team that you have around you. For one, what type of team have you built? So therefore you can delegate if necessary, and then recommit, because sometimes your why, there's a why and a what when you start to commit to change. It's right. Why you did it, and then it's a what you plan to do. And sometimes that why, when you face obstacles, must be redirected. So now your new why, your why 2.0 is what comes out of obstacles. And so that's what you have to find. So when you say, how did you do it? I had to find a new why. And once I found a new why, then I was able to build my steps around what's going to help me continue. Because now it was doing something at all costs. Now it's got to be continuing at all costs. And so then it's putting those action steps in place, regardless of what it is, to help you continue during that path. So when I look at losing an $80 million a year contract because of factors that were outside of my control. So then what I did was look to see what smaller components of that business could I continue on to build my reputation and keep the business alive, which we were able to do. So we were then able to show, well, what other customers now that we lost this contract, but we were able to show that we were qualified to do this, can we now solicit our services to? So it's when somebody tells you no, it never means that you can't do it. It just means you can't do it with them.
Right.
So the no is
Right.
for them, it's not for you. So it's keeping a strong mindset, and it's exercising and strengthening your mindset so you're not totally taken out of the loop when you have these obstacles come your way.
Mm-hmm.
And identifying and defining your obstacles so they stay in a proper perspective.
Right. But I'm glad that you talked about having a team around you as well, because that goes into our next question, which is, who do you feel was your biggest supporter throughout your change? And now it could be different people at different transitions of your life, but who would you say was your biggest supporter?
Number one would be my father, who's no longer with us. But number one, I mean, he really, without him, the story is non-existent. And I would say over the last 5 years, it has to be my wife. I've had some massive losses and things, and she's been the most consistent supporter and cheerleader for me throughout that period. So those have been my rocks that I've been able to lean on to help me to continue on and believe that I can pick up and keep going.
Okay, very good. So tell me, how do you feel like you are adding to your community?
Oh, that's very important. So again, I sit on a board of two organizations. One is called Hope for America, and Hope for America is their mission is to increase the number of skilled trades people, especially living in the inner cities. Black and brown people are very underrepresented when it comes to skilled trades, especially in the States. And Hope for America does a phenomenal job at introducing skilled trades as a possible vocation to that population. And CARA is an organization that helps people get back into the workforce who have had some major obstacles come their way and derail them from their particular path. And it helps them get them employed, gives them life skill training to help them be successful in employment. And then also I actually tutor individuals in my spare time to help them get vocational licenses, to help them get them gainfully employed.
Jeez, when do you have time for yourself?
But you know what? When you do what you love, that is time for yourself.
Yes, very true, very true. So where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
Well, the next 5 years, hopefully we are growing HVAC-U, which is a skilled trades program with my partner, Brand Cooksey. And I also hope to have grown the facilities management consulting business and really possibly write a couple more operational manuals in facility operations and boiler plant operations, and continue to do more speaking to individuals as well.
Wow. So what tips would you give, Dan, to someone who is sitting on the fence of their field of dreams?
You have to jump. You can plan, and it's great to have a plan, but you will never be as prepared as you think you need to be. So you might as well jump. You have to jump, because once you jump, you will land somewhere, and it will be somewhere. And it's almost like the saying of, shoot for the sky, because if you miss, you land amongst the stars. It's the same thinking that you have to jump. You will land somewhere, and it will be different than saying that you never jumped at all. And then once you land, you can then begin the process over of planning, where do you go from there? But you got going. And that's the biggest part, is the actual jumping from a place of complacency to a place of being uncomfortable to where you need to go so you can build your dreams.
Awesome. All right. Well, it is time for the lightning round.
All right.
So I'm going to ask you, 5 questions, and then you just answer what comes to mind, short and sweet, and we're going to make it through. You ready?
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay. So what initially held you back from committing your life to change?
Fear.
Okay. What is the best advice you've ever received?
2 jobs are for 2 people.
Oh, okay. Share a personal habit that contributes to your success.
Reading.
Well, speaking of reading, what book would you recommend to the C2C audience, and why?
This book is a must-have. It's Airmen, the CEO by Dan Ringo. It is only 78 pages, but it covers a breadth of knowledge of a lifetime that will deal with a lot of aspects if you're looking to change your life, many different situations. And it's not strictly solely about the author's life, but it uses examples from the author's life to reinforce the same message of committing to change, how to prepare for change, and how to push through distractions and dealing with doubt and insecurities. So therefore that you keep continuing along on the path that you set for yourself.
Awesome. So of course, out of fairness, because I wouldn't let Sheila do it, you have to give me an additional book.
Wow. And I know Sheila gave her book to the audience. So I don't want to say Sheila's book, although Sheila's book is phenomenal. I tell you what, the book that really changed my life, it's a couple books, but if I had to pick one, it's called As a Man Thinketh by James Allen.
Okay, yes. All right.
And if I may say, that book was given to me 3 times by my father, and I threw them both away the first 2 times. I read the book on the 3rd time, and it changed my life.
Wow.
So this book, the book Airmen CEO, is really my homage to that book, because that book is only about 50 or 60 pages itself. And that book has been around over 200 years, and it's changed countless lives. And so I wanted to write a book like that, because my father gave me that book, and it changed my life. And it's like, if I can reach people through my life story using some of the principles that I've learned in that format, that everybody won't get it, but the people that do get it will really get it, and it'll change their life.
Wow. Okay. All right. Here's your deep-ended question.
Okay.
If you found out that you had 1 hour left to live and you were given the opportunity to give one final message, what would it be?
It would be that ending is part of the journey, and that there has to be an ending for there to be a new beginning.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. So one last thing. Do you have a personal quote that you'd like to share with our audience?
Wow. I have many, but I'll tell you, the one that works for me is hard work and dedication, prayers, belief, and a good team. That's the recipe for success.
Okay. Is that from you, or is that something that you've heard?
You know what? I've heard it, but I've adopted it so much that I'm going to claim it.
Okay. Claim it. Stick the flag. All right. Exactly. All right, Dan, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. I want you to please tell our audience where they can find more about you and find out what you're doing.
I have a YouTube channel. It's called Ringonomics. And also the book is available at Books A Million, Target.com, as well as Amazon.com.
I have to say, I didn't want this to end. This has been a pleasure.
Yes,
but we are going to collaborate on some things in the future, I hope.
Yes, definitely.
Yes.
I would love to.
Awesome. All right, audience, you heard that. We're going to hold him to it. It is on record. He has to collaborate with me with something in the future. So that is a wrap. Thank you so much, Dan, Dan Ringo. I love the name. Like, how many people have called you like Ringo Starr or something to be funny?
Oh, you know it. For 46 years, trust me, I've heard it all. I've heard it all over the time.
I love it. It's such a catchy name. My name is so it's so boring. It's just this plain. I wanted something fancy. But well, Nikki is my nickname. My government is like plain Jane, you know, but anyway, so, well, we want to thank you for being a VIP guest on the C2C podcast. And thank you to all of our listeners for tuning in. We hope you feel inspired to keep moving forward towards your goals and stick with or make a commitment to change your life. And please make sure to check out the links provided by our guests and share today's podcast and information with anyone you feel may benefit from it. And remember, in order to get to the top of the steps, you have to take the first step. Just don't step on anyone on the way, because you just might trip. This is Miss Nikki. Till next time.